video instruction 1 for the CEDS, computerized electrodermal screening technology. Video 1 is going to go over the different parts of your screen that you may have on your computer and explain each one of the icons and what they're for. We now talk about the icons that you see on the left. Recycle bin is part of your computer system. New folder is a folder that was put together just to put unused programs in. Google Chrome is your internet. Camtasia Studio 8 is what I'm using to record this presentation in. OpenOffice is a word processor, Excel-like and other functions, free word processing system. TeamViewer is a connection that I use, program that I use to connect to your computer remotely if you have issues. Of the program itself, you have the CEDS icon, which is your startup for your software, your links, which is your life information network knowledge source, which is a reference tool for you. The assemble program is a program that you use to build and set up your databases in the format that you would like. Restore files is a simple backup program that will allow you to restore from your backup database corrupted files. The Oslogic's disk defrag allows you to maintain your software. The Oslogic disk defrag program allows you to defrag your hard drive to make it operate smoothly and keep your computer running as efficiently. Your Paradox Doctor 6 is a program that we put on here to allow you to remove any corrupted files easily. Let's go through this so you can see what each folder is now. Make an assumption that you know what your internet connection is. Your Office, OpenOffice, is simply a program that allows you to open up and view your text documents, any spreadsheets you might have. You can make a presentation software, do drawing, set up a database, use formulas, and develop templates. And this is all free for you to use. So it's very similar to WordPerfect or Word. TeamViewer, and this is installed on your computer, so you would have this partner information here. That's your ID. And if you need to connect with me, you would furnish this information with your password. And then I would then log on by doing essentially the same thing to connect. Going to your program itself, the Links software. As we look at the Links software program, it is also referred to as the Life Information Network source. And it is simply a resource for you to come and go through with your clients if you wish, with different parts. For instance, for those that are suffering from allergies, and this time of year is a big one, and this being spring. Phenolics are the phenols that are a part of the different foods that we eat. And as an example, if you have an apple, these are the phenolics found in it, and these phenolics, if you click on them, it moves from coumarin over to what coumarin has what foods and different items that coumarin is found in. And I can close that out. But now I can go over here and look at this item. So if I want to see what coumarin is, I can go into the indications for coumarin. These are coumarin's issues that it can cause, an overabundance of it. So we'll go into this program a little bit more in depth later on, just to give you an idea that this is available. So you've got different functions of that Links software. I'm going to close it out. The restore files is simply a backup file that was created early on that allows you to come in and restore any one of these databases from your backup database directory that is installed. And if it is clean, it will restore your database to a better position. So we can close out of that. The assemble program is used to build your software, and you can do this by your master database and build to your working database. So this is what's in your software now. We can build, put any one of these items, take anything out and rebuild it and set it up whatever way we want to. Right now we're going to just leave it like that, and we'll do a separate program on that later on. Your Paradox Doctor 6 is installed on here to allow you to correct any kind of corrupted files that you might have. You do that by going in here and selecting, and I always click check the table version, so it's confirming everything is linked up right. It takes a minute when it's first set up. Now, as you see, now I can run, it's running it on the database. What you run it on is your databases, your data backup, and your client. These are the three that you'll run, and you want to do it at least once a week, and sometimes it's best to do it once every day. So if I do it, I just click on verify and let it run through, and the verification process, depending on how many files you have, it can be short or it can be long. Your client list, if you've got a lot of client files saved, it can take quite a while. So it's running through the verification. Once it's done, it will tell me whether it has corrupted files or none found. Almost there. Once again, if you're using this on your client subdirectory, it can take far longer than that. Okay, so no corrupted files found. So at that point, you would just go to the next one and check it. So that's where we're at on that. Come in here and open it back up again. It should tell me that it is registered, and it is. So when you get your software, you should have that saying that down at the bottom, so you don't have to worry about it. So we'll close that out. This Oslogic Disk Defrag program is one that I recommend you use once a week, and do the complete disk defrag and optimization. And this isn't a very full computer, so it doesn't take long to run through it. And once you got it started, you can go ahead and minimize the screen like so, and let it go into the let it run in the background, I should say. Now we go into the CEDS program itself. Now you'll notice that it beeped twice, and in this instance it's because I have the software set up so it runs without a unit connected, and that allows me to go through and do certain things and teach, etc., show you the different parts of the software without having to be hampered with the connection. So I'm going to go out of this again because I want to show you how we set that up. So when you want to do it, and there'll be a reason for you to do this in the future, the program is made in this PC, local disk C, and HDI and HDI custom are the two directories that this program is installed into. There are other files that are put in different locations. For instance, in order for this program to run, we also need to have the pdoxusrs.net file in the root directory of your local disk. So that has to be in there in order for it to operate. That's something you may run across in the future if you're reinstalling your software on a new computer. By the way, if you're installing in a new computer, it has to be a 32-bit computer. This happens to be a Windows 10 32-bit version of the operating system. So yes, I can operate it in a Windows 10 environment. Oh, let's go back out of this and go into your HDI. Your different subdirectories in the HDI directory include the assemble program, the client, data backup, databases, diagrams, links, nutrients, Orion, pictures, reference, the StarTech Orion USB drivers, video, and the X products. This one is important because this is what operates the different USBs. For instance, if you're using the Orion DCM, there is a driver set up for that, and you must point when you're installing your software onto your computer and you plug in your USB. It will say that it can't find it. It's because you have to manually direct it to this particular subdirectory. Same is true with your LCM or your laser unit. If you have one of those, you have to point it, and there's two different sets of software for each one of those hardware items, the DCM and the LCM. Okay, let's come out of that. Check on where we are here. We're still running that scan. Okay, we have looked at several of these icons, and hopefully you've got an idea what they're for. We're going to go back into your CEDS software so we can look at it and go through the icons there. You're going to open it up, and once again it's going to give you that 2 beeps, which are indicating that it is not connected to a unit. As we go through this file, we're going to look at your different pull-down menus or drop-down menus, as they're referred to at the top of the screen. File includes Open Client, Client Visit, Save Your Visit, Print Report, and Exit. Many of these same drop-down menus are located in some form or fashion with your picture icons here. Diagram includes all of these functions, which include Go To, Graphs, Stats, Expanded Points, Expanded Readings, Point Info, Dot Info, Yes Answer, No Answer, Clear Answer, Return to Point Manager, Auto Move, and Flesh Point. Now, what you should understand is some of these are not found in this screen, but are found. Let's go back to your first screen. Here, when we move from your vector points, these are vector, anything with a V, back to our original point testing functions. Point 56 brings us to the old step-by-step testing method using your using a probe and a ground electrode, where you touched each one of these points. So now you're going to find that some of these values, when you take a reading, will actually allow you to use these functions up here, like Herring's Law, your statistics, your graph visits, your graph points, and your databases. That will allow you to use these in this function. So if you have a computer in a CEDS unit that you have either only your manual testing, or if you have manual testing and your automatic testing, because some of your vector units have that, you can do this as well. However, if you don't, this is actually an excellent place for you to come and look at to determine what these points are for and where to find them. So we have on the manual, we have the lymph points. Then we move to your lung. inside the thumb, followed by the large intestine, the central nervous system. Your middle finger is your pericardium and circulation, and on the other side is your sensitivity. Now, why this is important is for allergy seasons. Most of the testing is done on this ring, this middle finger, where you have the allergy meridian and the circulation meridian. So when you put a finger clip around here, you're testing two meridians, one your circulation and of course the allergy meridian itself. Okay, we can go down here and notice this is allergy here. Then we'll go, and if you went further, you go along the allergy meridian all the way up. We jump over here to your organ system, followed by your adrenals, your endocrine system, your thyroid, parathyroid, and thymus, which is actually on the palm side. This is on the palm side. I'm sorry, this was not on the palm side. This is on the top. This is on the palm side. Your heart on the palm side here, that's your insulin production point, and this is your small intestine. Keep on going. This goes to our feet, pancreas, liver, joint, stomach, fibroid tissue, skin, fatty tissue, gallbladder, bile ducts, and this is on the kidney and utera, and this is your urinary bladder and your prostate or uterus. And then we go over here. You'll notice that this is spleen on this side, whereas at the other side it was just the opposite. It was something else. You move over here, it was your pancreas. So we move back, and now we're at the spleen, back where we started there. Now liver, now these are all the same, just as they are on the right foot, they are on the left foot. Then this goes back up to your left hand, and it goes through the points that are on your left hand. Okay. That's a good way for you to come in and look at what's there. So we can go back now to your point V1, and we have that screen showing. Now you notice that this is on the thumb here. This can be placed anywhere. Your clips can be placed anywhere. So if you're looking at somebody who may have a cold, that might be a good place. Allergies, you test here. So you have a variety of different methods of testing and places you can test. As we move on, this screen is where you take your readings. Set up your readings, I should say. This is your human body points. This is the database where we actually have everything set up for you to test. So the way this is set up is like a book. It's by chapter and paragraph, and then the individual words in the paragraph. So this is a chapter. These are the sentences, and these would be the individual words. Notice we went from this screen, which we refer to as the company screen, and this screen, which I refer to as the product screen. The next section is for your setting your dilutions. Now we have a whole bunch in this database, but primarily we use the MT for mother tincture, TT for total tincture, and FIP, DEP, and SEP, which we will go through later on. Also there is QE, which is quantum energies. So we'll go through these things as we move through the training on how to use the system. Our next is the holds. In the full program we have 8 holds. Each can hold 300 items except for hold 8, which I believe holds 700. This is our provoke listing. If you're doing a screening using your automatic screening and you're using the step-by-step method, which is this, your results will be all put into this hold. If you're using one of these others, your results will be into whatever hold you selected here to use or designated to store your information. So this is your provoke. This screen is to adjust your settings, and it also is to view what you have selected. This has got selected hold is hold 1. Then we've got the number of passes and the number of sensitivity settings. Just leave those set at 1. This I suggest you move down to about 30, 35. And this is your output count. This is your number of lowest results readings. Will go into this as part of your step-by-step testing program. And this is your number of upper results. So this is your lower readings, and this is your higher readings. In terms of the step-by-step, these would be your bright red, and these would be your yellow. This is a place you can also use to get a baseline reading if you're using your vector technology. Simply hook up on a finger on each side, and then click on this, and you'll get a baseline reading that pops up here. Then just close it out. The best time to do this is in the beginning, where you don't have anything loaded in here. So this is your step-by-step screen. This is a testing that is good for allergies, but it's good for small lists. This is your scan, which does a whole group of items and only comes up with 2 results in the end. So if you're testing, for instance, your NET lists, and you've got them all loaded, it'll only come up with 2 results in the end. Whereas this is your multi-scan, and it will scan each subcategory of your list. So if you've got 17 kits, it'll test each kit twice, if that's how you have it set up. So once your test is done, the results are put over here, and it is put into hold 1. See, that's hold 1 is selected. That's where it would be put into, and you could go and look at it. Now, keep in mind that you may not have anything that comes up, and that largely depends on which of these you have set. Now, I recommend that when you're doing the screening, you do QE, you do MT, and you do a TT. Do it in whatever order you're comfortable with, but make sure you do it. That way you get the broadest spectrum of what the body is trying to tell you. Remember, MT is your mother tincture. So if you're outputting a list for trees, you're outputting the actual tree to the person and seeing how they respond physically to whatever it is you're outputting. If you're using total tincture, you're outputting a homeopathic dilution of those items, and TT represents total tincture in all of the tinctures at one time, and at that point you're looking to see which ones balance, which is an indicator of those are the problems. Now you also have QE. When all else fails, this should be the last one you test. QE is quantum energies. QE is the energy that you're testing for that aren't measurable. We don't have equipment that can measure it, so all we're doing is you're letting the body respond to those outside energy sources that the body recognizes, but modern technology cannot pick up as yet. This is simply a what we call a kind of like a it is a, well, let me do it for you. It's a random number generator that is there to give you an idea of what just out of thin air, basically, that you probably have a problem with. So in this case it's Kunbon, or Kunbong, and we're doing it at QE. So if we did it MT and ran it again, pulling this back up, remember, you don't have any connection there, you're just looking at it. So cow milk showed up, and he shall is what it finally comes up with. So you can see that it is just a random number generator. Okay, let's check in on our scan, and it is complete, so we can close this out, and that's done. I'm going to go back into the program now to go through some more of the screens and to clarify some of the functions. So we're going to open it back up. Again, we're still in the training mode. So here we are, and what I'd like to do is some of these screens. Some of these screens, or these icons I should say, are more related to the conventional testing mode than this automatic screening mode, the vector mode. So that's what you'll see most of these icons are for. So just basically, if you're using the vector screening, just go ahead and don't even pay attention to those. Let's go into the next screen, and while I'm on this, when you're first starting up your system, it's necessary to come from this screen when you first go into it to the second screen, and then back again to the first screen to activate the actual testing function. Alright, let's go back into the second screen again. This is what we refer to as the company screen, and the next would be your product screen. But let's look at this for a minute. We have a variety of more icons down the side, and principally the ones you need to pay attention to are these, and this. So if you recall, in order to properly, and I'm going to move down here to make a point, if we're going to do a selection of the items that are in a particular group, you'll need to highlight the group and let it center, and then right click on it. Now what you've got here is those items within that particular group have been selected. So at that point we're ready to go ahead and test by going into one of these functions over here, the step-by-step, the scan, or the multi-scan. Because this is so many, we're probably going to do the multi-scan to get a bigger variety of responses. And don't forget, whenever you go into one of these screens, always check to see what the potency or dilution is set at, because you may need to change it for whatever it is that you're doing. And now I want to close this out. I don't want those selected anymore. So what you do is you'll come down to this stacked box or ladder, and you click on it. Now it's all white, so clicking on it means I've turned them off, so they're no longer showing here. and that is a solid black triangle, meaning that it is unselected. You can also verify that by looking at these icons here and seeing if they're red or green or orange. Now if you notice, that is all red. If I click on this, now that it becomes green. So, and you've got now the triangle with a dot in it, meaning it's activated. So I'm going to come over here and deactivate it by clicking on that letter, and now it's off again. Okay? Now you may see these with one of these holds, and you may see a bunch of them activated or green, and you'll see you may have 20 items listed in the first, and then maybe 2 listed in the second. That means of the 20 items that are in that hold, you've selected and turned on 2 of them that are actually outputting. So keep that in mind. You may see that anywhere in this list. Let's go ahead and then move on to this, which is select a company. Now, the reason I want to show you that is because if I click on it, it opens up this box. Now this box is used by you to put in whichever groups that you normally go into to test. So it might be the NAT groups for the 2015-16, or it may be a product line that you commonly use that's way down in the list that you do not want to go hunting for it every time and take up your time with your patient. So what you can do is find something, and let's say you want to add skin reference SAR codes. You highlight it, and then you press the insert button. Insert sometimes is spelled out I-N-S-E-R-T on the keyboard, or it's simply I-N-S on the keyboard. So I'm going to press the insert button and add that, and you'll notice that it added that right away. Now when you've got the unit connected, which I do not right now, it takes a little bit longer for that to connect. Okay. Now if I want to get rid of this, I simply pick one here and press the delete key and delete it. Now it's deleted. Now this is how you make your own list. Once it's in there, it'll stay there until you manually take it out. Okay, now another thing, let's go over to your sound. Yeah, let's pick up one of these here in this group, and I'm going to put the sound, click on it. So that is a sound for that item. So you can use sound as a treatment. Okay, let's do this one. And you'll notice that they're different. Now let's do a couple. Let's add and to tag and 2 of them at once. You click on that, that, and that. Now you've got 3 of them clicked, and I'll do the sound again. So that's all of them combined. Now here's something that you could do if you had a tape recorder. You could tape it and then use that as a harmonic recording frequency that the person could listen to at night for a way to transfer the energy to them. Now remember, it's set at MT, so that would be the frequency that's being tested. So what we're going to do now is go back to look at these icons once again, so you understand what they are for as you use the system. This first item right here, right below this phenolics icon, is for ABC, or alphabetizing your list. So if I do this, and it's pawn, so it's selected P. If I alphabetize that list, it's going to look for every item that's pawns in the whole list. And then you can pick one, whichever company, whichever group you want to use. When you're done, just go ahead and click on this original order, and it takes you back to the original order. Now much of these screens that you see here are used for regular conventional testing. Let's look at this one right here. That's your display of the phenolic chart, and what that is the chart that's up here. Notice the icons are the same, so if I click on it, it will bring up that icon, and then you can close it, and you can do the same thing down here and here as well. Now, when you're using this system and you want to create a hold, let's go back to here, and we've got hold selected, and it is hold number 1. So what we're going to do is we can go over and select hold 2, 3, or 4 up to 8, and then we'll go over to your individual items, and you're in this list, whatever list it is. Let's click on this, and let's find one that we want to go into. So we're going to have to make one. This is a good exercise. So we're going to come back here, close that out. We're going to come back here to the companies, and let's go ahead and open this up and make our selection. We'll get rid of these. Now, if you remember, think about how to get rid of them. Highlight it and use your delete key on your keyboard to remove them. Now I want to find an item. So another easy way of getting to them so you can insert them into here is clicking on this, which switches the view over to the more conventional tree view that you'll see in Windows Explorer, stuff like that. So if I wanted to find, scroll down here, pull it down, and say I wanted to look for a list that I wanted to keep in here and be easy reference. You see a lot of different ones. And down here is energy screening. Here's NAT allergen list. So I'm going to hold on to that. I'm going to go back to your, highlight it, I'm going to go back to your original screen look. Okay, and here I am. Now I'm going to go ahead and insert that into this favorites box. So, because it's already open, remember here you click on it to open it up. I'm going to open it back up. Insert your key, insert button. Now that brings up your allergy screening lists, okay, your NAT allergen kits for 2015 and 16. I'm going to close it out. Now I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to go into kit number 1. Now I'm going to move from kit number 1 in the company list, and remember that's the heading and the subheadings referred to as a paragraph and a sentence in the in that paragraph. Now I want to go from sentence to the individual words that are in the paragraph. To do that, you highlight it. Let's go down here to say bacteria mix, and then I'm going to press the insert key to take me to from the company list to the same heading in the products list. So now I'm in kit number 10, the bacteria mix. Now I can open this up, and I can actually add that to, there we go. Now I can add that to this favorites box under the products listing. But I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is come over here, and I'm going to insert selected items. I'm going to insert this, and like any program working in Windows, what you do is if you want to do multiple selections, you select the first one, then hold down the Control key, CTRL key on your keyboard, and just pick the ones out that you want to add. And then once you're done, because you're doing multiple, then go down here to the insert into hold, and it's going to go into hold 3 here because that's the one that I selected. And I'll do this. I'm going to click on it, Now you'll hear it going down and you'll actually see it move down the screen. If you are connected to your unit, this takes much longer. So this is the time and the place when you're not connected to the unit to do this. So you make your lists up there. Alright, so now I'm going to go in here, and I've got those items now inserted into the hold. I'm going to clear it out, and I'm going to go look at hold 3. And there they are. And it inserts them at empty, because that's what I had up here. And then I can go ahead and do an energy transfer using your devices or your imprint function into a bottle. So that's the way you do it. Now, where you set your bottle on top of the unit is anywhere on top of the unit. So we're going to now clear that. So I'm going to do the multiple delete all tagged. Single would delete one. I'm going to do a multiple, and I'm going to remove it. Alright, now our next step in this operation, so that you understand what we're doing here, is we're going to bring in from a group of saved lists. I'm going to open this up. Now I'm back into the holds. I can bring in anyone into any list that I want to. I'm going to do 5 this time. Now, within your client subdirectory are pre-made lists that come from the old BAX 3000, the NRG system, the Orion. They're lists that were made up by or for practitioners so they could use it all the time, and I've just kept them in there. So I'm going to open this up here, right here. See the middle one of the question mark? Click on it. Now you'll notice that we have now a large group of pre-saved items, and it's a very large list. Okay, so I'm going to just pick out chronic fatigue. I'm going to highlight it. Now notice that all of these items that were inserted into this list are now part of a list that you can use to do some kind of, let's say, neutralization. So if I wanted to do all of them, they're all at different potencies, so I'm going to go ahead and tag them all. And now I could go into either imprinting by clicking on that, because it automatically goes to imprint, or if you've got a light unit, you can go to here, and you'll want to keep this bottom one. Always keep the bottom line to 0. Always keep it at 0. Move this one back. Generally, you can move it back to around 250 if you're doing a regular light frequency workup on them. It should take you that long, not too long, much longer than that. So once you're done, just go ahead and start it. And close it out now. And then these are something, remember, if it's got the name of the different hold that you got in here, you cannot delete it. Do not go down to here to delete it, because what you'll do is you'll delete everything in there. You'll still have that chronic fatigue heading saved in there, but everything in it will be gone. That's why you've got this function off to the right here that allows you to restore that the hold that you just pulled up to the original hold. Now watch what happens when I click on it. Now I'm back to my original hold. But let's say you want to make something. So you've got several items. I'm going to go over here and we'll go pull out some items. We're going to go in and we're going to make a kit 6, and we're going to go ahead and insert that. And I don't know how many there are in here, but we're going to go ahead and pull up here to the top of this. We'll use this one. Come on now. There we go. Okay, now we've got that highlighted, so now we can go ahead and tag all to the bottom, tag to the end of this list. Oh, I got to put it here. Sorry about that. There we go. That's a good example of what not to do, and that is you put it not on the kit itself heading, just to the list right below it before you do the tag to the end of the company. Now, there's 81 items in here, and I'm going to go ahead and insert those into a hold, and it's multiple, so now it's going to be put into hold 1, and you'll notice it's going to go down, and it will take a while to do this, but not near as long as if you were doing this with the unit connected. And remember, it's going in at MT. So once this list is done, you will have this to save in your subdirectory that you can go back to at any time. Okay, so now we're about, I think there was 60 in there, something like that. We're about a third of the way through. We'll just keep on going till it gets done. Once it gets done, then I'll show you the procedure for archiving that visit. Again, this is the time to do it. It's best that you do it when you're not busy with clients or something like that. You maybe take your unit home, or not the unit, but just your computer, and build the list that you want to use. Once you're done with that, make sure you save your client subdirectory so that you don't lose those lists in the future. So they're still going to be there. So make a backup of it. We're at 54. Working on down. It must have close to 80 in it, not the 60. Yeah, this is one of Dr. Nambutrapath's list from her last write-up or rechanging of her list. So this is from the 2015 and 16 list that she developed, and my understanding is that this may be one of her last updates. Okay, so that is permanent, or your list that you want to permanently use in there for whatever it is. This example was an NET kit. We want to come over here, and we are going to save it so that you can come use it again. So I'm going to save it, and notice it says hold underscore and then star and then DB. So I'm going to go ahead and put my mouse right there, and then I'm going to back up. I'll put it right there and back up so I can name it, and I'm going to name it NAET 16 and K6. It was 6 K6. And now I'm going to save it. So now that is saved. So I can now get rid of this by, it's already all tagged, so I'm going to delete all of them. And now I'm going to come back to any one of these holds. Oh, by the way, since this is still showing, we've still got that all tagged. So we want to turn it off. And remember to turn it off. Just come down here, click on your clear tags, and now there is nothing outputting. And now I can go back here, and I want to bring back into hold number 6 the list that I just built. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to look for the one I just built, and here it is right here. And notice what I did is I clicked on the date modified so I'd find the latest one that was built, which I know that was done today. And then I'll open it up, and there it is. So now you can highlight any or all of these and do an elimination for the whole kit anytime you want to. And you'll notice it's got its name, so if I want to get rid of it, just go down here and click on the restore to the original hold, and I'm ready to go. Now let's go over here and review what we've gone over with so far. We've got our hand, and it is set at 1 finger here, which is indicative of a clip on each finger. We've got it set here, point V1. Now, if I had 2 clips, which means you would have a multiple lead coming off of your computer, coming off your Orion system or your DCM, that would have more than 1 lead that you can hook up multiple clips. So you could set up whichever one you want, and if I click on that, that means you have 2 of them that you can use. So I'm going to click on that, go back to where we are. Clicked on the wrong thing there, hit on one of these, and that's why that opened up. Okay, now point V1 is your normal testing. You could test these fingers on any one you wanted to use. And remember, if you want to see what each one of these meridians are, come back to this screen and go up to point 54 or 56. The difference between point 54 and point 56 is that the point 56 includes the insulin production point on the palm side of your hand. Alright, so that's what you would select to take a look. And then you could go up through here and look at the different points. If you remember, just go ahead and right mouse key and left mouse key to go back. Let's look at a couple under other of these screens. Okay, we've got to dental. Okay, which starts here and goes in more detail on some of your points. Okay, now we also have, that's large intestine, lung. So this would be just a points in the lung. It will going down the lung points and just all the way down that meridian. Give you an idea of what it's all about. Another is the dental points from that Dr. that Dr. Cook, Douglas Cook in Wisconsin put together. And that's a vector. Let's try another one. So there's 3 there. And let's go back up. Okay, you see this one is pause. That's for for screening on animals. And you can use surrogate testing for screening on animals and babies. So let's go back up to your vector, point V1, and get you back there. Next we have the company list. And remember, this is like a paragraph and the sentences within the paragraph. So the paragraph heading, the sentences within the paragraph. If you look further, go to the next screen. Got to drag better than I do here. There we go. Okay. You'll notice that we have a paragraph heading, the sentence, and then the individual words in the sentence. Okay, so that's what that screen looks like. Next, which you won't use, but this is a list of the dilutions that you have available on this system. But you can use any one of them. So if you are here, you could move anywhere down the list, and you could actually test at a particular dilution and also treat at that dilution. Next is hold 1, or hold, and it's got 8 holds in the hold box. Next is your provoke. Remember, the provoke readings, provoke hold is where, when you're doing the step-by-step, this test, those results are put into here, not into your regular hold. Next is your scan. Scan is a function that you use to do a bunch of tests. So if I was going to go over here and do all of these tests, so I'm going to right click and I'm going to go, and by the way, it only goes 30 lists. It's as large as it gets. So it'll do that first 30, and then it'll put the results. If I'm doing the scan, it will put them all in one list. And it won't start until I start the scan. So you can go through all of the kits, the 30 kits that we just selected, and it still may come up with a maximum of 2 items in all 3 of those lists. Whereas if you are doing the multi-scan, it could pick up as many as 2 per kit. So you could have 60 items that have been picked up. Okay, let's go over here, and I want to go to one of these lists after clearing this out here. Okay, I want to turn this off. There we go. Now I want to go over here to this list, and I'm going to look at, not surprisingly, this time of year, spring, and of course in the fall, is bad allergy season. So let's go back here to your lists and see what we can do to build these lists up to work in your favor as a practitioner when you're working with clients that are suffering from allergies. So to get started, we've already got the NET lists in here, and what I want to do is make sure that we've got everything turned off. And in the company, same thing. Let's see. Oh, here we go. There we go. Now they're turned off. Now let's open this back up. Now we've already got, as I was about to say, the NET allergen kits, but let's look for some other items as well. We have our own that we suggest you might use, and they can be found under STHS lists here, and we'll add that by what? Oh, that's right. Yes, the insert button. So we've added that. Now we're going to look for some others. Oh, here's pain management. Let's go ahead and add this one too, because a lot of time the pain management includes migraines and migraine and headache triggers. So we'll include that as well. Allergy season is good for that. Now we're going to go over here and we're going to look for some others. I'm going to click on this, and then we're going to alphabetize the list. And here's a sensitivity protocol, and we could put that in there too if we wish. And go ahead and put it back to your original order, and you'll notice this is similar to other lists, but we're going to include it and highlight it and insert it. If we page down, we may come to another list, and that's seafood. And let's try a different one now. Let's try our luck at CEDS and see what we've got here. Nope, we don't have anything there. So remember what our other functions. Let's highlight that, close that out, and just use this, changing over to that tree view, and look down at our lists and take a look at what we might have. Okay, let's use a slide and go down quicker. Looks like we got to go up in the other direction. Well, we got a lot of food products here, and that would be well served to use those. Those are GMO. So GMO is something you might want to check as well. We have some here that these are all military and sports issues that people have some real interesting times with if they had a bad incident happen during one of those things. Okay, medical conditions, skin reference SAR codes. It's a human body. I want to find one other thing in particular that I'd like to have in here. And I'd probably run right straight across it. Let's see if I can type it in, if it will come up. Okay, let's do that again. Research. Oh, here we go. And I'm going to alphabetize the list. Research sample list, that's the one I'm looking for. So I'm going to include that one. Insert it in my hold. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my original order. And this has a variety of different things in it. So now I'm going to come back here. And one other thing that I always suggest you do, and that is go ahead and, if you've got a company that you work with, remember when you're dealing with products to make sure that you deal with them with the proper drainage remedies, etc. Now, type in a couple here, and you've got your own, I'm sure. But let's do Des Bio right here. I will include that. Alright, and there's some awesome other ones. Dilutions has some good products. So it's DOL. Okay, Dilutions has been around a long time. Okay, insert that. And I'm sure there's a ton of others that you're familiar with that you would love to have included, and they are in here. Okay, so we'll go back up to that. Now, we've got those installed. We're going to come back here, and we're going to start with just a simple process of how to do an allergy screening. First, you're going to go in and you're going to select your list. And we'll start here with a sensitivity protocol. Coming here, and we may want to do a screening of the STHS, that's the old StarTech Health Services product list, and then we are going to highlight them all, or tag them all. Let's go back here, because what I wanted to do is do that in the form of so I'm going to untag, and I'll go back up here, because the way I want to do it is by using the right click there. Okay, now they're all tagged. Same thing, but it's a right click on the heading, and then you can go into, now I suggest for this case, because you're doing the whole list, that you go into your step-by-step. I'm sorry, the multi-scan. So now I've got all of these items in here, and I can start the test. Now, as I'm going through this, the first thing I want to do is look at the QE, because where I want to start is at MT, because I'm trying to find out which one of these things are going to produce an imbalance over here that the body is saying, okay, that's not what I want. I want you to treat me for that. So once you do that, then you will go ahead and click on this, your scan, and it will go ahead and test each one of these categories, right to left and left to right. And if it finds anything, it will put it into this side right here. Okay, you'll notice that this is not this list. This does not start and look to load this until actually when I've started the test itself. Okay, now it's not going to do this because I haven't loaded the software into the unit itself, so it's not going to let me do it. So we'll go back here. As you go through this and you start building this list, it's going to be put into the hold right here, at which point you can then use your laser or your light pen or your imprinter and create a energy product for the person. My suggestion is that's what you have your companies for when you're doing a imprint inserted into a existing product. So when you provide it to your customer, your client, you are not actually manufacturing something into water, at which point you know, there's no way of proving that it exists, and it is a product that has not been cleared by the FDA for you to make, because you don't have an FDA approved facility, whereas a product company does. So go ahead and do that. Imprint into an existing product. Usually the best kind of product is going to be a drainage remedy, but if you're used to using products and know the product lines, you should be able to tell what's the right one for that person. So once that's done, as I said, each item, each category, one of these lists should be able to produce up to 2 results here per list. So I think this one, I don't remember how many it had, but let's say it had 30, then you could have as many as 60 items over here. Okay, now once you've done the first test, you can go ahead and change this to QE or total and run the test again. It would simply be added on to the end of this and included here, and you could do it 3 times, so you had the QE as well. So that would build a list that then would be placed into here, at which point you could use to imprint into a product, or you put it into your light and do an energy transfer but by your light. Okay, let's go back over here. Hopefully that gives you a simple idea of how to do that. I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to untag all these because I want to now go in to just do a single item. Right here. Okay, where am I? Okay, let's say you want to do just corn. So you're going to come in here, and corn is, let's see how many are in the corn list. So press the insert button. Now you go over here to see the different types of corn. Okay, it's a rather short list, so this would be a good one to use just step by step. Now, the way to do that is simply the same way that you did the other, going back to your list here, but instead we click on it and we go to the step by step, and it would load into this item, this screen, and then you could test it here. We're going to be going through this with the machine actually connected, but I want to give you an idea of the different styles and ways you could use the system for. Okay, let's see here. We are going now to just do a simple wrap-up of your initial training by mentioning that you have pull-down menus up at the top. You have icons which are more related to your older generation Orion system, which uses the probe and a ground electrode for testing. These are all related to this, and these are all related to the Lynx system software. Remember, you have a way of changing your potencies here, which you want to keep that in mind. Anytime you see a green here or a green here, that means the signal is being generated. So if you're just sitting there, you don't want it turned on, just turn it off. Let's bring in a hold to remind you of, I'm going to just bring in any one of these crones, open it up. I'm going to now tag them, turn them on. Now you'll notice that this hold is turned on. 48 out of the 48 items are active and generating signal, but if I come in here, use my control button, if I just go in here and click on one, it's going to turn all of them off except the one I click on. So I'm going to use control key, hold it down, click on these items to turn them off. So now I've got 2 items that are turned off. So let's go back and look over here. I've got 48 in this box, and 46 of them are actually turned on and active. Again, this is how you look at this and do it. Now, the question for you, do I just go in here and delete this by coming down here and deleting those items? That's correct. No, you do not. You'll come back over here, and you can untag them all. You'll come back over here, and you will restore this to the original hold so you don't lose that particular hold's contents. So now I'm back to where I should. The final things we'll discuss on this video are dealing with the client and your username information. First, we'll talk about the username. This is done down here at the bottom of your screen where it says user. And the way to change that is by clicking on it and opening up this pop-up box. Type in your office name here, your name as the operator, your address, city, state, zip code, the country you're in, your phone number, and your email address. When you print anything out, it will have this top information printed on the form for you. And since this is kind of a form of advertisement where people show to other people, you may want to make sure that you have this information clearly typed in. Once you've done that, just go to here and save it. Now I'm going to type where it says user. I'm going to say just new user, so you'll know that it is saved. And then you can type your name or your clinic, or however you want to do it, doesn't matter. So save it here, and now this is changed. Your operator name would be here. This down here is a list of your clients, and this is who you have selected right now. It says Jim Jones is selected right now, so if you did save the information, it would be saved under that name. If you click on it, it gives the list of names that you have saved in this file. So there's, what, 4 or 5 different items and names in here. If you click on one, you're selecting that name. So Thad Jones is now selected. That will stay there until you change it. If I want to come over here and do the client, I can open up a client right here. And Thad Jones, as same as I had down there in the screen, is now showing up here. I can expand this out just like I did it before by clicking on it, and it brings up your list. Of course, if you have a long list of clients, this is a good way to go through it. Now, there's a wrong way and a right way of saving information. Now, you cannot change the client ID number. That's when when I clicked on it, it changed it to red. Can't change that. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that, and I'm going to go into it again. I'm going to open the client, and now I want to add a new client. So I'm going to come up here to the plus key, and I'm going to click on it, and now as you see, it empties up the boxes that are there, and all you need to type in is the last name, and it can be any name. We're going to put last name of Gonzalez, first name of Jose, and no middle name, but a client ID needs to be put in. So we'll put JG, and we'll do 001. That's all you need to put in. If you want to put in any other information, you can for your own lookup later on, and just click yes. Now that's saved. So you can come back here, and if we want to click on it and go to somebody else, John Smith, now John Smith is there. That's how you save a name, a client name. And whoever is here highlighted and the name showing here, when you save your client information, then that's who it's saved to. Now generally you're not going to save anything. You're going to simply print it out and give it to your client and keep a copy for yourself. And generally all you're going to be printing out is what you found for the client. No readings, because it's a different style of reading than it used to be, where you had a reading for every point on the hand. So that is basically the final information that you will need here. If you want to look through any more of it, you're welcome to, of course. And if you have questions, then let me know. But that is the end of training video number 1. Hopefully you've been able to get some information you'll be able to use. Appreciate you listening and watching.